Hey everyone, this is Genesis here. I'm going back with another video about Dissension, and it is getting awfully close to being released, and I'm looking forward to actually releasing it here. So, the purpose of this video is to talk about some of the new features and some of the new things I've added, some more behind the scenes kind of stuff, just kind of give you a little presentation of what's going on and what I've been working on here. So you're probably immediately going to notice some caching added messages down here about units being cached pretty quickly. And now we'll go over that. So there's a kind of list of things I want to go through one at a time. Why this is kind of taking a little bit longer. I was hoping to get a version out today on Saturday, but that just did not happen. So, that's why I never give an exact date, right? So, with Dissension now, quite a bit has changed or progressed, and I've been able to test it quite a bit on a dedicated server, and I've been pretty happy with the results overall. So that makes me pretty happy. Just a lot of little bugs here and there that need to be fixed. Nothing that's actually been really game breaking. So I think the hardest thing so far I've had to deal with, which I will be talking about a little bit more later, has been the markers. And so the first change I'm going to talk about, as you can see here, we have these wonderful crates falling from the sky now. These are the supply crates that will randomly spawn around players. And the way they work is, there should be actually two here maybe? Yeah, there's one way over here. So maybe I'll space these out a little bit more with time. They take a little bit longer to spawn. But the way these work right now is that there can be a maximum of 20 at once. And there they go, they're landing. There can be 20 at once, and they just scale up. So there you go. If there's 2 players, there will be 2 crates, one for each player, plus the number of players divided by 2. So it'll be 3 crates. If there's 2 players, there's 3 crates. If there's 10 players, there'll be 10 crates, plus 5 crates. So it's whatever that number you have is, so total 15 crates. So that's one idea. The other idea a friend had, as you can see, they also put orange smoke down so you can kind of find it a little bit easier if you spotted it. A friend of mine had an idea to kind of flip that formula around, and I want to know what you guys think. So write in the YouTube comments or on the forums, I don't care. And his idea was to invert that, and the more players, the less crates there would be, but the more valuable each crate would be. The idea was that the players would be more encouraged to fight over these crates, these resources. I had some concerns. My primary concerns would be can do pro and con with it. Primary concern would be then I would need to add markers on the map to show people where they dropped, so players are actually aware of it. Otherwise, I feel like no player would actually go for it because they don't see it. They don't know where it's at. Maybe I'm just not trusting players enough. That's possible. I deal with a lot of players I don't trust. The pro would be actually, I like the idea of kind of giving more players objectives to do. I think hunting down supply crates should be a rewarding thing, because if you don't see the smoke, you don't see it, they're going to sit there for a good while. Like that's got to be hard to see if you didn't see it land or anything. So finding those should be a rewarding process as well. So we'll have to see whatever you think, or maybe you have a better idea or a more unique idea. Let's find out. So, wow, this commander here is... What is going on? These guys are going to try to cut through here and come... Wow, okay. Whatever this commander thinks. So the AI personalities are in pretty well now. And I've had a couple battles between 2 commanders trying to kill each other, and it was... definitely not where I want it yet, but it was interesting to see them both trying to counter each other and make plans against each other. So there's that. Another thing I added, going back to what you saw in the beginning, the caching system. And I'm kind of just exploring around to see what's going on over here. So let's go way over here. So I added a caching system. A lot of people ask me, well, do you have caching in there? I was like, fine, I better do it. And I finally added in caching system, so you guys may be happy about that finally. So I went really fast. So when they're far enough away, you can see only the leader is spawned in, and as he moves around, kind of shifts the units to where it expects them to be. So great, they're cached. And then of course, you know, when someone gets close enough, an enemy gets close enough, they render right back in. This guy's actually trying to plant an RHS mine in Hawaii. They shoot at him and stuff. Well, these guys are. So yeah, so I had to make one actually, and I actually didn't want to make one. I did not want to deal with that at all. It was actually much less complicated than I thought, thankfully. I had a lot of issues. I think I tried 3 different caching systems. I won't go through all the problems I had, but I needed one to be dynamic enough. The problem with Dissension is that you're constantly spawning in units, groups are constantly splitting up, and they're constantly being morphed together. So you need to have a caching system that is dynamic enough to handle suddenly adding in new groups like that, new units, and not freaking the fuck out. So yeah, it took a lot of work, and it still is not perfect. There's a lot of debugging that needs to happen. There's a lot of things that get checked here and there. Excuse me. So starting off, to kind of show an example, is I need a system that works well. Let me wait for these guys to get cached here. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than others. I need a system that wasn't too demanding, wasn't too domineering, and wasn't too passive. These guys just got cached. I needed it when they go into combat mode. I need them to uncache like that. Okay, even though there's no units around, I need them to uncache. This will be useful for artillery. You know, artillery hits, the leader goes into combat mode or dies, and then the rest of the units will spawn in, so artillery can do something. Right. I needed it to work with, I think the biggest struggle I had was having a system that worked well with motorized groups. And I was actually finding a lot of trouble with that. So let me find like a... yeah, motorized infantry. This is like a very basic motorized reinforcements team here. Okay, look at all these dudes here. This is one vehicle, one driver essentially, and a whole bunch of AI that need to be cached. So I designed a system that will be smart enough to cache them eventually once it gets added like that. And actually what I did, and some people disagree with how this, but this works well for Dissension, is it puts all the units inside the vehicle. You see all these seats, it means they're inside the vehicle right now, they're cached inside the vehicle. So now the vehicle can drive around just fine and not be have the pathing broken or anything like that by the troops. And if I place like a unit here, you can see they all just jump out. And they get, now that needs to be patched up a little bit because that's a little too quick of a reaction. There's problems with that, but you get the point. I think it works really well. So it allows vehicles to transport troops, have them be cached without a problem. And you can see they just killed the guy. They're all in combat mode for a while, so they'll stay uncached. And I actually needed that. I had some where previous functions and tests, they would get cached immediately again. And then I had AI over here like fire mortars on top of the squad, but most of them were cached. So then it hit the vehicle, and then they spawned in. And then the mortars didn't, have the impact they should have because of that. So after a while, these guys, to go back to just being aware, right? They get cached again, get put back in, like so. And then yeah, so it worked really good. And for some reason, oh, is that it? Oh, did the driver die? Oh no, he's fine. The vehicle may be shot up and not moving, so sad driver. So yeah, so that helps a lot with frame rate. The thing with Dissension is why I was hesitant. Oh, here's a nice little bug here to fix that. One of the reasons why I was hesitant with Dissension. Oh, what is this? Oh, we're being attacked by the guerrilla commander. Dropping troops in. Whoa, okay. The commander's actually running. I didn't expect that to happen. They're kind of being rudely interrupted here. Wow. So here the Russian troops are spawning in to help defend. These are RHS, right? So they're trying to help defend the commander. The commander is like, oh, commander's due to a safer location, it looks like. And by that I mean he rammed a pile of trash. There's a whole bunch of these guys here. I'm kind of defenseless here right now. Get him! What are you doing? Shoot him! Thank you. I want to take the... Oh, give me that AK. Can I wear this uniform? Yes, perfect. Anyway, as you can see, that was a unique little interesting thing. So that's actually not the guerrilla, that's the PMC commander. So that means Blue 4 is the PMC commander, and he just used some of his money to purchase troops to parachute onto this town, try to cap it. Little did he know, or maybe he did know, that's where the commander was, and so it looks like it's mostly been thwarted already. And this guy's in dance mode. He's having fun. So, yeah, that was exciting. Oh, hello. Let's see if we can get him. He's bugged out. I know how to fix that. That bug again. Man, that's so frustrating. Something to do. That's a bug with the parachutes. And, oh, that's because I'm sighted at 440 meters. That's weird. And now I'm back. Okay. So, yeah. That was quite the intro. So you can see Dissension can be pretty hectic and crazy. You can see troops spawning to help defend the town. It's working fantastic. There's a group of 4 over here that are actively engaged. Their squad must have been whittled down a little bit. The missions do spawn. They're on a bigger delay now, so they have an escort mission right now. You can see it popped up. I can check the tablet. Oh, it didn't populate right. As you can see, it's still not perfect. Something's wrong here where it didn't populate that, so I'll have to look at the escort mission and see why. The marker's here. Why did it not populate? So all sorts of things. This is probably him right here. Little bugs like this, like if AI spawn inside this building, they don't know how to actually move outside of it. So if he wants to move anywhere, I actually have to make sure they spawn outside. So he's part of the squad up here. Yeah, here's a defense squad that spawned in to help defend. So I can look. My commander is a support enthusiast, which is fantastic. So that means he's going to be deploying artillery against enemies, deploying lots of troops, lots of static weapons, all sorts of things. If you were to play this a long time, you start to see those kind of roll out. The squad's getting their arses kicked here. So yeah, let's go ahead and stop procrastinating, speed this up. I got distracted by that. Let's take a quick look at the cache system and how that works. So it's actually, I did make it so it's plug and play, so in case other people wanted to try it in their missions, they can. I can't say it's going to be perfect. I made it specifically for Dissension. So, you know, give or take that. It's very simple. I wanted to make it as small as possible. Right now there's only one variable you can change on, and that's the distance, which is the cache. Currently it's the view distance plus 500 meters of the cache. So, and then, actually I need to remove this debug code here. And then every 15 seconds, it goes through all the groups on the map and sees if they have to be re-added. So it's dynamic enough to just find units on the map. And then, here we go. Here's the magic. This is where the magic happens. It's very simple. So this is an FSM, which I might do a tutorial on how to make FSMs. They're very simple. So this is where the red is where it starts. So it starts here. This is just a true condition, which just means that it just keeps moving down the line. So all FSMs do are follow arrows. Like they're just a flow chart. They're not really that difficult. I mean, they're really simple. So when you click on FSM or any of these little blocks, you can see on the right here there's code. So each of these little pictures holds information. Essentially they're like tanks. They just hold information. And you can see this, they start here. This right here defines the group for me. It pulls the group, which the group this is assigned to. This green just means keep going. It's just a condition. So FSMs have to have conditions in between statements. So these little guys here, like these white boxes, this orange one and this red one, are called what I just call statements. They're just code that gets executed, and these are conditions that have to be met before that code can be executed. This is green because there's no condition that needs to be met. It just needs to keep going. So it goes from statement to condition right to statement. And here, as I won't go through this step by step because I'm not doing any tutorial here, but this essentially determines, it pulls all the enemy units. It pulls all the groups again. It pulls all the groups that are hostile, and then it adds in the players into those, right? And that doesn't matter if they're hostile or not, because if you're a friendly player nearby, then it should be rendered. And then it does a calculation of what's the closest, and then if they're over that cache distance, well, of course they cache. So it does, if the cache here is true, if it says okay, we need to cache them, then yeah, let's do it. If the cache is true and they're not in combat mode, then let's cache them. And caching is, all I mean by caching is very simple. We just disable the simulation and we hide them. We use these two commands. That's literally all it is. And this right here is just a little bit more complex code to see if they're in a vehicle. If they're in a vehicle, if they're in the cargo, then we can still cache them. Just gotta make sure that they're not the drivers. It shouldn't cache any drivers, gunners, any commanders, anything like that that may be more helpful to a vehicle. Shouldn't be caching them. So, and then it just moves on down the line. And this right here is a little bit more complex. This one is just keeping, when the units are cached, it keeps them moving with the leader. And then if they're in a vehicle, of course, we want to do that one trick I told you about putting them, just moving them into any of the vehicle. Okay. What I want to do is have them be assigned cargo as well, so they don't just instantly hop out in the unrender. And here's the uncache. So uncaching happens when this uncache is true. All that means is that, hey, we're in combat, or enemies are close, or a player is close. And then we just need to uncache. And all that means is we're going to go ahead and enable our simulation again. We're going to unhide. We're going to set our pause so that they stick to the ground. They don't fall too high, too low, and kill themselves. And then the whole cycle continues. You can see this is an infinite loop. The only time this loop ever breaks is if the squad has 0 members left alive, or the group somehow becomes null. The group no longer exists. And then it'll quit. So very simple, straightforward, that's it. Oh, well, it's being read, so there we go. So very simple and straightforward. Now, the other issue that took me a good chunk of today to fix, oh, they finally got this last independent guy who was hiding inside. Oh, wow, look at that. Poor guy. Oh, this guy came in. Oh, wow. Wow, look at him. He's like teabagging him. It's freaking rude. Oh, this guy's coming in too. Who else is coming? Why is that door open? Oh. I don't know where that guy is from. That's weird. So just spawn it upside down. Won't be able to catch every bug. So I love watching these firefights. Sometimes they're really cool. Alright, so the other system I had trouble with, what took me a good chunk of today, is the PMC commander's having a lot of troops. The marker system. So the biggest struggle I had was really the markers. You would not believe it. So the markers that are global to everyone, like, I can see where a blue 4 is. I can see where they're expanding. Some people may not like that. I kind of like that, so you can kind of see, at least there's some generic presence of, I can see blue 4s here and there. And they're doing these things, which is really good. Oh, an error. PMC error. Okay. See, this is the things that have to fix a lot of these kind of bugs. But anyway, like these bugs, like the light factor here, the command vehicle. Okay, so I have it set up where if I'm on op 4, only I will see this. If I'm on op 4, if I'm on blue 4, I can't see where their barracks are. I can't see where their units are if I wasn't cheating. I wouldn't be able to see that. I'd be able to, what the player sees is this menu right here. So I can see there's a defense squad here, there's a defense squad here. Factory here, command says a group of 10 moving here, with 3 up here. The squad down here got killed. So that's great. I can't see anything about where Blue 4 is. But I had an issue where trying to progress. So, you know, the player can spawn at the command vehicle, and they can spawn at the barracks, which is important because that's where they can get all their loadouts and crap. Well, I had an issue where when you join in progress, it wouldn't work. It literally would not work. The markers would be gone. They would not sync up. There was no easy way to get the markers to sync back up to join in progress. Because, you know, you can have markers be created and be join in progress friendly, where like every time someone joins, it'll create like the light factory marker. But I had an issue where I needed to make sure I check that if the light factory is dead, I don't want that marker. If this squad is dead, I don't want it just to create the marker, because it's going to create a whole bunch of errors and frustration. So that's the biggest thing. Looks like some vehicles just rolled out. So yeah, it's the biggest thing. Those errors that we had actually caused a lot of frame rate drop, unfortunately. Which happens. So you can see this is probably why there's an error for the location. They didn't know where to spawn these troops, and they're in the water over here, and these are causing a lot of problems. You can see as soon as I deleted them, my frame rate came back to normal. Oh man, so it's like finding a lot of those bugs like that. So I'll be looking in the log for that. These guys are off on an assault. Perfect. So what I had to do was design this marker update system. So what the server does, and actually I can show this to you, I'm going to do a hint format of it so you can see the gloriousness of it. We'll do the east markers. Every marker that gets created, this is a very in-depth, complicated thing, very tedious, gets dumped into an array. And anyone, like any group that's null or dead, gets deleted after like 5 minutes or so. It checks every 5 minutes to see if it needs to remove the group. And this gets public variable, so anyone that's joining can get this. And each little marker, actually what I'll do is actually copy this to clipboard, so I can actually put it, you know, more plain sense. So this is a giant array, which is a giant list of markers that the east side currently has. I'm not going to separate all these, we'll stop there, but let's say like the first one, for example. Here's probably the wait a second, I think I split this up incorrectly. Yeah, I did. There we go. That's the first one. I split this up incorrectly. So here we are. Here's the first one. It keeps a giant list of what side it is. This is the marker. It's the east side. It's called respawn east 6377. This is the marker's location. This is the type. So this is a type that the system knows. I'll talk about more, how to recreate the marker. And this is what the marker name is. And this is the object that is tied to the marker. Okay. So, and this gets stored in a giant list. As they get created or destroyed, they get removed from the list, and then as players join in, this gets sent to them. This list gets sent to them, and then they go, okay, the player goes, okay, I have this. And once they have this list, they execute this FSM. So this FSM is a giant thing for each single marker. So for each little thing, like this one would count, this one would count, this one. So here's one, here's number 3, here's number 4, and 5, and 6, 7, 8, and so on. For each one, it would go through this FSM. So if there's 20 markers, it would go through this 20 times. It takes, and we'll actually run through one as an example here. So let's take this one. This FSM takes, goes through one at a time. It takes this, it looks at it, and goes, okay, so here we go. This is east, so we know this is going to be for op4. We have the respawn. Okay, all this good information, but what the fuck do I do with this? Well, this FSM goes, okay, let's look at how can we make this easier. So let's figure out what side it is. which is this select 0, right, which is here. East, okay, FSM goes, okay, so we know this is on the east side. And the style. Okay, so now we need to know which condition, like which branch of this tree are we going to go into. Geez, I just don't want to, you know, I need to know where to go into. That's the style. So let's this like 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Building. So this FSM goes, okay, so this marker has something to do with buildings. Well, this says building right here. So if the style is equal to building, let's go down here. So it just shoots it right down here. And it looks at this and it goes, okay, so we know that it's a building, and if it's a building, we know it's going to have all this information. So we take this now. So it takes this chunk of information, it shoves it down this pipeline here, and it ends up in here. So here it is. So now it's like, okay, so we know the side is this select 0, and that's a building, but now we need to know what the marker name was. So this select 1, here we go. The location, this select 2, right here. The extra info, which would be this select 4, which in this case is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a barracks, so we need to know what it was called. It's a barracks. And we also need to have the physical building, which is 5. You can see here, this is the actual physical ID of the building in game. And if that building is still alive, then let's go ahead and remake the marker. Whew. Wow, that was a lot of work just to remake a goddamn marker. So, and then it just goes in and remakes the marker. It decides, okay, if this is the west, then we need to make the marker blue. And we need to label it these things, and etc., etc. And it goes in and makes the marker. So now during progress, people will have the spawn points will start working. And then once it executes this whole thing, it just continues on and exits out. And I had to do that for every single specific time I ever make a marker. This mission uses a lot of markers. It doesn't do it for everything. Like, I don't do this for the missions. The side missions, you know, if you're not there to start with, you can still participate, whether people know where it's at, not a big deal. But for knowing where the squads are, where your spawn points are, that's a much, much bigger deal. So that needed to be fixed. Oh, there's still a group of 2 down here. Oh wow. Looks like this one squad just got annihilated. These are vehicles that drove up in here. Yeah, these guys got destroyed. Wow. Alright. So yeah, so that's really what I've been working on, and it took me mostly today to get done. Which is fine, because you know, it's really worth it in the end. So I'm pretty happy with how it's going. I got both commanders going. My frame rate, of course, the map is going to be different. I'm at around 30 frames a second while I'm recording with 2 commanders going, and with a lot of units on the map at once, with a lot of systems going back and forth. I'm pretty happy with that. On a dedicated server, it runs really nice and smooth. I really do like that. This is the escort guy. Holy shit. He's making it there all on his own. I cannot believe that he's getting there. I'm not going to get the money for it. But he's being escorted. He's getting there all on his own. I think that's him. Maybe not. Maybe it is actually just a group. I don't know. I'm not even sure. There's a squad here just chilling. So yeah, it's coming along. So hopefully tomorrow, I'm going to be getting some sleep here. Wow, this commander. I'm going to be getting some sleep here, and I'm going to come at it tomorrow after I see my family. And I'm excited for that. So this commander is just going fucking bonkers for this. This is a huge force roll, and I just love how the commanders can be so different. Like, look how big these groups are. They're fucking massive. This is a huge assault. Can you imagine trying to defend this town? These guys are just waiting. They're just waiting. This guy looks so angry. He's like, nope, now he's smiling. He's just sitting there waiting. He has no clue. Look at that, the number of dudes. I just love seeing that. Yep, there they go.
AT soldier, 75 meters, front.
They're just gonna start opening up, and he's already killing people. I cannot just imagine seeing that, having to fight that. So I'm looking really forward to that. it's coming along well. So, keep the testing going. I think that was it. And that's pretty much what I spent most of today on. I'm hoping to now just do some playtesting, testing those systems, and doing a lot of the debugging and fixing like the broken missions. Probably that mission, like the escort mission, I don't think actually worked because this didn't get executed here. I didn't see the right person for it. So, you know, little things like that. All right, guys. And, so what I will say though, for people who are really impatient, no matter what happens tomorrow, I will be releasing the test version. It was a test version regardless of the state it's in. You can definitely try playing it without a dedicated server in its current state. I don't think it's optimized enough for you to play it with a lot of people without lagging really bad. You can see with recording I'm getting 30 frames a second, which is pretty low. I mean, it's jumping down to like 21 sometimes. You know, it's not. You can see the top left there. It's not super consistent. So you know, you take that with a grain of salt. Dedicated server would be preferred, but if not, you know, try running it, see how it goes. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take it easy.